Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Warlords Showcase. My name is Rob, and I'm the community manager for Arma 3. And today I'm joined by Jose, which is a senior designer on Arma 3. So, Jose, maybe you can tell us a little bit about Warlords and what it is.
Yeah, sure. Warlords is a large-scale multiplayer mode for Arma 3. It's basically, I think you can call it sector control because that's what you are doing the whole game. You are trying to capture and keep hold of various sectors on the map, and you need to navigate through these sectors in order to get to the enemy base, raid it, and that's how you win the game. Now, I originally started working on this mode about 4 years ago, but at that time I released it under the Steam Workshop, where it has been available for quite a long time now. But fortunately, in the end, it turned out that it would be actually a good idea to release it for Vanilla Arma 3, which is happening now. So that's what we will be showcasing today.
Yeah, perfect. During the showcase, we will be doing giveaways, as we mentioned before. We have 5 hoodies, which is the 5 years of Arma hoodies, that we're going to be giving away during the live stream. So in a bit, we're going to give away 2 hoodies, and then we'll give away the rest at the end of the stream. So I guess we'll just dive straight into it.
Yeah, I would like to show people how easy actually it is to create their own warlord scenarios. In the editor, you can set it up in a couple of minutes. That's what I'll be doing. And you will be able to see how to create the whole mission, where it will be playable for either side. And I will try to go through as many details of the mod as I'm creating this mission as I can. So yeah, I think I can move to the PC now.
Yep, go for it. So whilst he's moving to the computer, we'll be joined by Mr. Ondřej here, which is the project lead of Arma 3. Whilst he's setting up, we're going to do the giveaway for 2 hoodies. Basically, how it works is you have to write a keyword in chat. The winner will be picked randomly from, if you're like in the actual giveaway, by writing that keyword. So basically, if you write Warlords, I'll write it here in the chat. And then the moment you've written that keyword, you're in the giveaway. And then in a while, we'll roll the giveaway. All the winners will be contacted by me after the stream, and then we'll get everything sorted out from there. So yeah, just spam Warlords in the chat. So Ondřej, do you have anything you want to talk about regarding Warlords?
Yeah, we can now see Choze is already setting up the mission. The first thing he'll be doing is setting up the modules. I guess is that true?
It is indeed. Well, the first thing I think you will want to do is to place the main bases. One of these bases will be basically your home. So all you need to do is fire up the editor, and here under Systems, you will see the Warlords category, and you will use Warlords base. Place it somewhere that you feel would be a good spot for the base. Set the site of the base. You can set it for either blue 4 or up 4. And we will go through these additional parameters in a minute when we will be placing the sector modules. So I've just placed a blue 4 base here in LZ corner, and I will be placing the op 4 base on the more or less other side of Stratis on Camino firing range. So let's do that again.
So as Choze was already mentioned, the main thing about this mode is that there are 2 factions that players join in, and they fight over sectors that are in the middle of the map that are controlled by independent function that is controlled by the AI. And they capture the sectors, they move from one sector to another, they create a strategy how to control the sectors, which ones to take, which one to skip. And they usually meet somewhere at the center of the island and start fighting against each other, the players from the opposing factions.
Yeah, usually on this Stratis map it happens either on Air Station Mike 26 or the airbase. So those are like the two main flashpoints of this scenario. Now, we'll start placing the sectors, which will be initially occupied by the AI. So let's place one here on Camp Maxwell. And while we're at it, I will go through the parameters as I promised before. Now, the site parameter tells the mode which site should initially occupy the sector. So if you keep it on default, that means the sector is occupied by the independent faction, as Oukej mentioned, and the AI will be spawned there, and you will need to seize it from them. If you set it to either blue 4 or op 4, that means this sector is occupied by either blue 4 or op 4, of course. And if, for example, I set it to blue 4, that would mean that the sector would be under my control from the start of the game, which is useful if you want to create a more PvP-oriented scenarios rather than PvE. So players don't have to fight through a lot of these AI-controlled sectors. But let's keep it at default for now. Size tells the system how big the sector is. Of course, each sector is square-shaped, and this is its side. So we'll just keep it as it is on 250 meters for now. Command points production. Yeah, that's what we haven't mentioned so far. One of the main features of Warlords is the request menu, where you can use something we call the command points to request additional troops, vehicles, gear, or other strategic features, which we'll be showing off later as well. And every minute, all of your own sectors generate this amount of command points. So if this sector has its command points production set to 25, it means that all the players from your faction will get 25 command points from it every minute. Now, seizing time is how long it takes to seize the sector. You can leave it as 0. If you want to have the default setting, which is tied to the sector size, it's calculated based on the size of the sector. So we leave it at default as well. And these are the sector services or dispositions, or however you want to call them. Harbor means it has access to the sea, and it will allow you to purchase ships and boats. Helipad will allow you to request helicopters, and runway, of course, planes. Fast travel means that it's possible to use the fast travel feature in order to get quickly to this sector. We will show off the fast travel as well later. So let's place this one here. And the next one can be, of course, on our very own Air Station Mike 26. Now, Camp Rogaine, of course, as well. I'm just leaving all the sectors in their default settings because they are designed in a way that would be most appropriate for the most scenarios that you will be creating. Another one for Girna, Camp Tempest, of course, and one for the Stratis airbase here. And we can go for Agia Marina as well, because why not? Now, you need to tell the system how the progression through these sectors will work, because currently these sectors are just random icons placed on the map, and the system doesn't really know in which progression you should be taking these. So you want to tell them that, for instance, from your main base, you will be able to attack either Camp Maxwell or Gerna, but not Camp Tempest, for instance. So you do that by right-clicking on a sector or your base, select Connect and Sync to, and left-click on the sector again. You can do this for all the sectors excuse me, on the map, and that will give you a nice network of sectors to navigate and seize.
It's already nicely visualized in the editor, pardon.
Yeah. So from here you can go to.
So whilst he's setting up the scenario, we have a couple of questions from chat.
Far away.
So one of the questions is why does grass change color depending on the distance?
It doesn't sound right, does it?
No.
It shouldn't be like that. It depends on the grass has different LODs, level of detail,
Hmm.
and there might be something not so well configured, but like the change definitely shouldn't be something really noticeable.
Okay.
I'll have to actually see it to be able to tell what's the issue.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another question from the chat is why was stream started late?
Yeah, I think that's obvious because we have Choze here and he's a rock star. And
Yeah.
have you been to a gig that starts on time? Rock gig? No. We are not a classical music event here. It starts on time. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That's just how the life is.
Blame it all on the guest here, because he can't fight back because he's knee deep in setting up a Warlords scenario. Anyway, if I can
Yeah,
Feel
for
free.
a minute
Feel free.
say what I've done here. Okay, so I've connected all the sectors. I think it makes sense. It doesn't really have to be balanced at all for the purpose of this presentation. But for now, you should have the idea how the whole network is set up. So one thing I forgot to mention was that you can use your own sector names, of course. So for instance, if we want this sector to be called, I don't know, my backyard, you can, but who would name it like that, you know? So if you leave it blank, the system will find out that it's close to a location called Agia Marina and name it Agia Marina. If there is no such location named on the map near the sector, I think it's set for a 1,000-meter radius, it will just use some generic name like Sector 25 or Sector 2 or something. All right, now we have our sectors prepared. We can place the main thing, and that's the initialization module. Without it, the mod wouldn't initialize at all, so you can place it anywhere on the map. And here we have a lot of options for ways to customize your experience with Warlords. And before I go ahead and describe them all, are there any more questions from the
Yeah,
chat?
there is. Morgan here says that listening about command points, will this be changeable so that modders set up their assets to work with the missions such as RHS and CUP?
Yeah, of course. That was one of the first things that I knew I would want to have in Warlords. You can use your own assets to be purchased, requested, or you can call it either way. And I will be getting to how to do it in a minute. You can also customize, or you can create Warlord scenarios on any map, official or community made, of course. And you can utilize any faction that you have currently installed, any community or like faction from a mod. I will be getting to that as well.
Okay. Let's see here.
Yeah, I've noticed someone was asking there how many people work on Arma 3 now. It's not many. It's most of us have switched to different projects, and as a company we are focusing on developing the new engine and Fusion. You've probably heard about it. So I'd say that's our main focus now, but still there's, I don't know, 5 to 10 people working still on Arma 3, depending on the time. Also working on different projects. Those people have worked on Arma 3 and can support, can provide help. So yeah, that's I guess about it.
Yeah. Another question here is Homesick. What is your favorite check-in and food? I think all the check-ins are my favorite. My favorite food, it depends on, like, do you mean Czech food or overall food? I don't know. But yeah, I don't have
What's your favorite Czech food so far? Beer?
yeah, beer, I think. That's one. No, I don't think I've eaten any, like, specific Czech food as far as I know. But yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Can we await some quick patch to fix vehicle impact system? It's cool to make backflips with T100, but you know.
Launching it into the space. Yep, we are very aware of the physics issues we have in our game. It's mainly multiplayer related because when things are simulated on different machines, uh, just a little desync, little collision that goes through the collision layers will result in an extreme force that will throw the physical simulated things away.
Okay.
Now we're trying to mitigate that when we were updating the physics libraries and doing all the physics changes before Tanks DLC. We were able to fix some problems. For example, when tanks were driving on trees, suddenly they were launched in the air. So I think majority of those we were able to minimize, but there's still I know it's still happening, especially when there are two player-controlled vehicles colliding each other, and we weren't able to debug like the launches that come, for example, from the wheel collisions. That's still something we are looking at, but I can't promise anything in this regard. I think it's common to multiplayer games with physically simulated things, with especially on in such large scale as Arma is, that the simulation and desync and multiplayer synchronization can cause such issues, and there are ways how to, let's say, work around this to check if something like that happens, then reset those things back where they were. Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I cannot promise anything, but we are definitely aware, and
Yeah.
it's painful even for us.
Yeah, definitely. So as an update on the giveaway, we've actually done a roll for who's won the first two hoodies, and the winners are Alonso Var M Rice and Cutman C. So they
Nice.
will be
Congrats.
receiving a 5 years of Arma hoodie. As I mentioned before, I'll contact everyone after the stream, and then we'll set everything up. The next 3 hoodies we're giving away, we'll do at the end of the stream. So I'll mention that then. So what's going on over by you, Jose?
Yeah, I've decided to place some playable units so we can see if the mod already works after this initial setup. And I have placed down a Blue 4 team leader, which is set as player in the Blue 4 base, and an Op 4 team leader, which is set as playable in the Op 4 base. Now, when you're placing playable units, you can use whichever you like from any faction, any mod. No, well, basically you can use really anything. But the only thing that you need to keep in mind is that all these players need to be in their own groups. Like, don't have 2 playable units grouped together. It won't work with the mod. It's not how it's set up, and it will just cause some problems. So, just to quickly check out that it works, let's try play in multiplayer. Set it up. Let's be Blue 4 for now. Hit OK. Yeah, and we see that the game recognized our sectors. It looks like it even used the correct names. LZ Boldy for this one is interesting because, yeah, LZ Boldy is quite near, actually. And we can see the income as well. We forgot to set up the services properly, but that's not really important right now. Okay, so to the parameters that I promised to explain in the init module. Forced progress means that from the start of the mission, the control of the sectors has advanced somehow, almost like the factions have been fighting. So you can set it that Blue 4 and 4 both own 25% of sectors, or it's 50-50, and PvP starts right away. Then we have some asynchronic settings following that. Daytime acceleration, that speaks for itself. The time will move faster. Well, only the daytime, not that you'll be running faster or something. No. So just the day and night cycles will progress more quickly. Fast travel, that's the feature we've discussed. Basically, you can fast travel to the sectors that you are currently fighting for or to your own sectors. But you can, of course, disable this feature if you're not a big fan of it, or you can use some more specific settings. Sector scan allows you to scan a sector that you've unlocked for enemy activity. You can disable that as well. AI sector voting means that the vote of the AI units that are on your side will count towards the next sector to attack, because your side or faction needs to decide which sector to attack at each time. So, for instance, at the start of the mission, you need to decide whether to attack Camp Maxwell or Girna. And if you have AI sector voting enabled, even the votes of your AI units will count. Okay.
Slightly relates to the question I've seen in the chat is if Warlords are playable as PvE as well against AI purely, because the question was if the DC is the guy, so it is mainly PvP oriented. But I think it can be both ways equally playable. I think Choze can say more about how to.
Yeah, sure. Basically, all the player slots that you leave open for the AI in the lobby will be taken control of by the AI, and they will try to do their best to behave like a normal player would. So that means it will vote for sectors if you let them. It will buy units, buy vehicles, attack the sectors. If their base is attacked, they will try to defend it. You know, I've tried to make the AI viable, alternative to players, but of course you can't expect them to behave really on par with most players on a strategic level. You know, their decision making, of course, can't match, human brain. So, but you can definitely play it solo just by yourself with some AI commanders by your side against the AI commanders on the enemy side, and it will still work. I think it will still be fun. Many people are playing it this way, if I read the forums correctly. So yeah, nothing stops you playing it this way.
Okay. Will you be able to sell units and vehicles?
No.
No.
Once you've purchased a unit or a vehicle, it's yours, and Warlords has a no refund policy. So once you've bought it, it's yours. You can't return it. You can dismiss your squad mates, which you order, but you can't dismiss vehicles. And of course, the command points won't be refunded if you dismiss your teammates. Okay, moving on. Sector voting reset means that you can abandon your currently selected sector, the one that your side decided on, and start a new vote. That's usable in some situations where you find yourself really trapped somewhere that you simply can't get through. So you reset the voting and try your luck somewhere else. Starting command points, that I think that's easy to understand. Income multiplier is how fast your command points get added. So you can choose a multipliers for the income. So for instance, now if you have 2 sectors, you would be getting income of 50 command points per minute. With this multiplier, it would be, if you take 4 times, if I can do math correctly, that would be 200. Voting timeouts is the time that you have to vote for a next sector. Vehicle removal timeout is vehicle deletion of abandoned vehicles. If you leave a vehicle somewhere and it's not destroyed, it will be deleted after 60 minutes by default. And here we are coming to the customization part of custom assets and factions. This is the config name of a faction that will be used to spawn Blue 4 units. So if Op4 decides to attack a sector that is controlled by Op4, some default AI garrison will be spawned. And if you are using, for example, the mentioned RHS, you can use the RHS config name for some Blue 4 faction that you have decided to use. I don't know whether it's US Army or Navy, something like that, I believe. But the config name, it's up to you to find. The same with Op4 faction and independent faction as well. And this is the asset list. These are the things that you are able to purchase or request. Now we will go through the asset list later, or perhaps I can just point you to a handy page on Wiki, where it's all described. That's the link we're talking about. You will find all the stuff that I'm describing to you here, there, and also a detailed description on how to use your assets in the request menu. Automatic scenario end means that the scenario will end when one of the bases is seized by the enemy, and this is advanced settings for custom debriefings. Those are config classes of debriefings that can be used for various outcomes of the scenario. Now, these technicalities out of the way, we are almost done. Now, what you need to do is set up the respawn settings. That's fairly straightforward. You just go to Attributes, Multiplayer, and here Respawn. You select Respawn on Custom Position, and that's all you need to do, basically. It's good to set a respawn delay as well. That's really up to you as well, but in the official scenarios, we are using 20 seconds. And that's it. You can place more playable units for each faction if you like. You can set up the services properly, which I should have done. So let's just do helipad for LZ Connor, and harbor and helipad for Camino. And we can see how it worked. Now, we are playing Warlords. Good times. So what you usually do at first is open your map and vote for a sector to attack. Please note that in order to attack a sector, it needs to be unlocked. What it means is that it doesn't have this zone restriction square around it. Every sector which has the large square around it means that it's inaccessible to your faction, and if you try to get inside, you will get a warning, and if you don't get out quickly enough, you will just die. So please don't do that. Instead, vote for a sector to unlock. For instance, Camp Maxwell now. Now the timer has started, these 15 seconds, at the end of which the sector with the most votes is evaluated, unlocked, and you can happily attack and seize it. Now you see the zone restriction boundaries have disappeared. And now that we have voted for our sector, we can open the request menu, as the pop-up has kindly informed us, by holding down the inventory key. And here you see all the assets that you can request and start using. So for start, I think I can order some. Just one rifleman will be okay.
Will you be traveling by quad bike or using the fast travel? That's a question.
Well, I'll be tactical and send my squad mate on the quad bike, and I myself will fast travel.
That's a risky move, though.
It is, but you know, for the presentation purposes, I think that works well. Okay, now you can see that I've purchased two things which appeared in the airdrop queue. All the physical assets that you are ordering need to be airdrop first. Well, most of them, but we will talk about it later. And in order to airdrop these assets, you just select the airdrop location. You can either select your own sector, one of the sectors that you are currently controlling, or your coordinates wherever you are, but that's much more expensive. So for now, we just drop it on our base, which is right here. Phillips is coming.
So whilst we're waiting for him to drop in, I'll drop a couple of questions here. Is it possible to disable voting for the next sector so that more tactical groups can split up and communicate without holding hands?
Well, not really, no, because that's not how the mod is set up at all. You just go through sectors, seize them, and well, try to seize the base. I understand the motivation for not having the voting system there, but I'm afraid that's just not possible in Warlords, not to have voting. You can leave it for the AI, I guess, but even then you would see which sector is going to be voted, is going to be selected next. So you will always know. That's really all I can think of.
Okay.
Now,
and are you able to build FOBs or any type of fortifications?
yeah, sure. Well, you can place static defenses. And you can do it by selecting defenses and picking some hardware from here. And you will see that you can place it anywhere on your feet, so you can go wherever you want to have it and place it there, and it will work as a defensive asset. I've seen some modders implement even H barriers or sandbags into the defense menu as well, so they are actually able to build barricades. I have not tested it thoroughly. I think it could make it to vanilla in some further update if it turns out that it's safe and it works. So yeah. Also, I've mentioned that you don't need to airdrop all physical assets. That's the exception of boats and ships. If you own a sector that has access to sea, so it has the harbor disposition enabled, you can just hit request and then the system will ask you to click anywhere on a water surface and the boat or ship will get like dropped right there. And the other category is aircraft, because helicopters and planes automatically land at the nearest sector that has either helipad or a runway. I mean nearest to your position. Other than that, you need to airdrop everything, even ammo crates. Now, let's send Mr. Phillips to the quad bike, and I, in the meantime, will use the fabled fast travel feature. You can find it under strategy. And here you'll see fast travel to seized sector, which is free, and you can quickly fast travel to any sector that you currently own, as long as there are no enemies around you. And then fast travel to a contested sector, which we are interested now, and that will allow you to fast travel to a position that is a couple of 100 meters away from the sector that you are currently attacking. So that's what we are going to do now.
But there's a condition for this fast travel to work, right? That you have to have a free way to the sector. You have the sectors controlled all the way to the contested sector that you want to capture.
That's a really good point that I should have mentioned. Thank you. You can fast travel to contested sectors only if they are directly linked to your base or linked through another of your own sectors. So, for instance, if I want to fast travel to Air Station Mike 26, even if I would be attacking it at the point, but the enemy would take away Camp Maxwell from our control. Now, Air Station Mike 26 is no longer directly connected to our base, so I can't fast travel there. That's one of the unpleasant situations that I talked about a while ago, in which you might want to consider reset sector voting, but you don't have to. I believe there are ways to fight through that. But after quite a long and heated argument with the fans, I've decided that actually it is usable in quite a lot of situations, so I've decided to add it. I wanted to mention one more thing, which I think I haven't correctly done when explaining the rules, not only here but even prior to this. Once you have unlocked the sector, which we have done now with Camp Maxwell, and move on to other sectors, and the enemy decides to attack the sector that you've previously seized, you don't have to vote for it again in order to go and defend it. That sector is unlocked for you for the whole rest of the game, and you can come and go to it as you please. The only thing that won't work is fast travel to contested sector, because that always works only for the sector that you've specifically voted for in order to attack. But other than that, that sector is open for you forever, basically. Now, I've fast traveled here, and if I continue to Camp Maxwell, I will probably get killed by the enemy garrison that spawned there right now. And we can see that the Op4 is attacking Camp Rogaine. The one lonely guy that I've left there has decided to attack it, so hopefully he will succeed. Well, hopefully not. I'm fighting against him after all, but we'll see. Any more questions right now?
Yeah. Is it possible to add artillery support
Oh
to the
boy.
strategic menu?
Yeah, that's really a big question, which has been discussed quite thoroughly on the forums, and not only there. Currently, no. Not in the official vanilla scenarios, anyway, because artillery is quite deadly. It has always been. It's the main purpose of artillery, and the playtests where artillery has been was utilized were not very fun for the side that happened to be at the receiving end of the artillery strike. So the whole gameplay experience was reduced to trying to take a sector and dying instantly from invisible, well, very visible shells, but invisible for you. So I've decided against it. I think this way it's more, straightforward, enjoyable altogether. But of course, nothing prevents you from implementing your own artillery into your own scenarios. I have nothing against it. So if you want to use Scorchers or MLRSs, then go ahead, have fun. I hope you will.
Yeah.
There were questions about custom maps, definitely. As you saw Choze placing it on strategy, it's the same way you can place it on any modded map, any size. That's really up to you. The system is open, moddable, and you can make scenarios and quickly iterate on them, really.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's a good way to test, your maps when, for example, you create a map, but you have nothing to play on it. You maybe are not that skillful a mission designer to prepare something there, so you can quickly come up with a simple scenario with Warlords, and suddenly you will find yourself navigating through most of the map if you set up the sectors in that way, which really helps, with, I don't know, troubleshooting some problematic areas, or, maybe you will want to try urban fighting on your map, so you place a sector there. It's really up to you. Now, I wanted to show people how it actually looks when there are more slots opened, so the action is more interesting. So I'll just take a couple more team leaders for the Op4 side, and for the Blue 4 as well. And hopefully we will have a more interesting scenario instead of me just clumsily running around ordering quad bikes. So
Yeah, one of the strengths of Warlords is that it really shows the scale and the amount of possibilities, the amount of vehicles Arma has, and the whole combined arms feeling that I believe cannot be found anywhere else than in Arma at this point.
yeah,
And
for
AIs also. You can fight in great numbers, and it really feels like you are in a dense combat situation. Especially when we played in the stress test, at least a week ago, we played in 80 players. I was a little bit too much, it was a stress test after all. And big shout out to Flash Ranger and all the communities that joined us. It was an awesome event, and it was just great to be on foot as infantry. We were running into the sector, taking cover, and suddenly you had a sniper fire ringing next to your ear, and there was a Kamish coming by and giving you fire support, helicopters, and that's I believe what Arma is really strong at. It's this everything
Yeah,
that,
I
that
also have
belongs
to
in a
say
combat.
say thanks for that, because I was watching from afar with horror in my eyes when 80 players started to stress test Warlords, because we are talking about including a 64 player version over the whole Altis in the official release, but we were not certain that it's a good idea because there were possible issues with performance, and suddenly Mr. Oukej is saying to me like, okay, we're thinking and we want to do 40 versus 40. What do you think? And I said, well, okay. But yeah, it's definitely too much. But I'm glad it worked anyway. At least technically it did. So maybe in the future we will be adding a little more players to the official scenarios, but we'll see. Currently the biggest scenario is the fight for the whole Altis, which supports 32 players, 16 versus 16, and then it's a lot of smaller scale scenarios. You can fight for Stratis, as shown here, for the whole Malden. There are two different smaller versions of Tanoa scenarios, and of course also some variations on Altis itself. I think we have two more smaller scales scenarios there. So I think this list of scenarios offers quite a varied possibilities of gameplay for shorter skirmishes, or even full-blown CTI if you don't have anything to do over the weekend or something. Then feel free. Now you can see that the AIs have ordered in some troops, and they are trying to capture Girna, take it from the independent faction, and hopefully they will succeed, and we will see it captured. And with that, I think we can then slowly close the how-to guide and move to the actual multiplayer.
Definitely.
Just to put it in numbers, the stress test I was mentioning, if you imagine that each player can buy up to 9 AIs, so multiply 80 by 9, and then you have sectors, green 4 occupied sectors that are full of AI. Those numbers ramp up really, real quick, and I think that's the biggest bottleneck for this to be played at a large scale, and it was not meant to be played in such numbers.
Definitely
It
not.
would need to be made slightly differently with less AI, but that's not the point. And also touching that, as he mentioned, CRCTI, BICTI, Warfare, we love those mods. We love those multiplayer modes, and I think there are some differences between those mods and Warlords, and I think there's a place for all of them. They have different scopes, different pace of play. Warlords is, let's say, pretty fast. I played Warlords for 5 hours in a row, but one mission. So, well,
Yeah.
I think it's faster. It's more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more straightforward, I think, because I didn't put in, as I mentioned in the oprep, for whoever didn't read it, which I think it's a lot of people, but you can read it if you want, my oprep on Warlords. Of course, I loved Warfare even for Arma 1 already, that we played in the office quite intensively. So I was quite sad that nothing similar really made it to Arma 3, and I wanted to do something about it, and I did. So I came up with this mode, where the most important thing was for the player to be able to join immediately, know what to do, where to go. Ideally, the mod should tell the player how to handle the request menu and all the other shenanigans that are at play. And you always have something to do here. The enemy base is not yet seized, then seize a sector. If someone is attacking your sector, go there and defend it, you know. But the approach that you take is entirely up to you. I think it still offers quite a large playground for anyone to find their own approach. Yeah. Now, a couple more things before I leave the computer. A couple more details, I think. When someone targets your base, like when it gets targeted by the enemy faction, you will no longer be able to fast travel to it. You will have a time window of about 30 seconds to get there by fast travel, but then it's no longer possible. And also you will no longer spawn inside your base. You will spawn a couple 100 meters back, which for obvious reasons you don't want to spam the final base with respawning players, so the enemy can just camp these spawn places. So your respawn markers are moved around the base and you are randomly selected some distance from it. The second thing is that apart from the regular income of command points every minute, you will get a substantial portion of them each time you seize a sector for the first time. So for instance, now that we've seized Gurna, you could notice that I got a couple 100 command points for it. The value that you get is dependent on the regular income. It's multiplied by a certain number. And also you get a couple of command points for each kill. Not very large one, because I didn't want people to get angry over, you know, kill steals and stuff like that. So basically, if you are doing really well, you are eliminating a lot of enemies, you could afford a certain assets quite sooner than someone who, let's say, is not that efficient, i.e. me right now. But, you know, you have to work towards that slammer if you want it. And I think that's mostly everything. Of course, there are some more advanced settings available to you for the scenario that you could make if you look at some of the modules that I haven't used so far. You can see, for instance, the response team, which if you place inside a sector connected to that sector, that's all you have to do. You can select its type here. What happens is each time a sector connected to this sector gets attacked and its garrison detects the enemy, it will spawn the response team at this sector and send it there, you know. So for instance, if I attacked Camp Maxwell now, it's possible that I would suddenly see, you know, an armored platoon coming in or some paradrop. How it's most commonly used in official scenarios is that I choose synchronized vehicles and, for example, use hang on, yeah, here. For instance, GMG Strider. And this Strider will then be sent to the neighboring sector. Actually, you want to use empty ones for this. So hold out, connected it.
It
There.
also kind of answers one of the questions there, if the AF sectors are only populated by infantry, which in vanilla missions you can get easily surprised by some APC or HMG or GMG MRAP coming from a distance and taking you by surprise.
Yeah, by default.
That's quite common.
By default, all the garrison inside these sectors is only infantry, you know, because it has to do with difficulty. You don't want to meet, you know, randomly generated platoon of I don't know, Moras, which is the heavy armor of, is it?
It's APC from
Oh, right.
4.
From AIF, you don't want to see that. So I've left it for the scenario designers to set up. Also, those were the response teams. So if you want to have enemy vehicles inside the sectors, you can place them with crew here, connect them to the sector itself. It will spawn the vehicle at the spot that you've placed it on, and if you assign some waypoints to the vehicle, it will move through them as usual. But the vehicle will not be physically present there the whole time. It will only get spawned when the sector is attacked. So we can do cycle here. There. And this Strider will then patrol in this area. Now, what else? You can also use custom spawning positions if you are placing the sector on a densely populated urban environment to make sure that the infantry is spawned in a way that makes sense to you and not leave it entirely for the calculations of the mode. You can use the spawn point module and connect it to the sector as well. The same functionality can be achieved by using triggers, because if you use too many modules, you can meet the group limit, I think, or at least it was the case when I started working on Warlords. I'm not sure about it anymore, but you can do just the same thing with triggers. Anything else comes to mind about Warlords, which I
we
should
have
mention?
another question
Yep.
for you. Is the number of vehicles limited in any way? Like the vehicles you can order?
The vehicles you can order. No, not really. As long as you have the command points, you can order as many as you want.
Okay.
As long as you have the skill to control them.
Yeah.
You can buy them for your friends, for example. It's really up to you. Then what I should mention is that all the parameters that are here, these can be even set up by players at the start of the mission, by players themselves. You can do it by using something that's called mission params, and that's also described on the wiki page that we've provided a link for. I think I won't be doing that just now.
So when you're setting up a server, don't forget to click the parameters and customize the mission as you like.
I think we will see that when we will be setting up the multiplayer.
All right. So I'll leave this place for Choze again, and I'll hopefully get some kills or get killed, stream sniped maybe.
Okay. Well, for everyone who will be participating, good luck and have fun. I hope you will like the mode.
Yeah, so whilst they are swapping places, we're gonna do another giveaway. This time we'll do one hoodie, and then we'll do the last two at the end of the stream. So the keyword for the next giveaway is gonna be 1.86. So pretty much this. So just type that in chat, and then you're automatically part of the giveaway. What we're going to do next is to basically play Warlords, which everyone can join in on. We'll be playing on the RC branch, I believe. So I will be linking the information in the stream in a second.
Incidentally, what mission will we be playing? Okay.
Let's see. Maybe you can make the choice. I'll also show the IP here, but then I'll ask So guys, to switch off the stream so I can log in as admin and nobody sees that. I'll tell you in a second.
I think we might want to go for the Stratis one,
Okay.
since
can.
I have, tried to show how easy it is to create it. And
So
we'll
this
be
is the
able
IP. No, not yet. This is the IP. I think Rob will share it in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just posted the IP and password in the chat.
This is also something you should see if you want to join.
If you want to join Oukej here and playing some Warlords, just connect to that IP with that password. And then
Am I really playing as Homesick? That's not me.
it is now.
We are
Okay, guys,
all
I'll ask you
homesick
to
deep
switch off the
down.
screen now so I can type in a password.
Can we play without downloading? You would need to download the RC branch.
I'm sorry, that's not possible. Because Warlords is not part of stable.
But if
Yet.
you wait until tomorrow,
Mhm.
you will be able to play it.
The 1.86 version of
Okay.
Arma 3 or Warlords will be released tomorrow, so then everyone can play.
And I think we'll be providing some official servers for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
Yeah.
will be available on our official servers as it is now for the RC branch, where we were testing it so far. So here I'm in the lobby screen, as you all know. I'll go into the parameters and set up the mission. While I'm setting up, the first thing I'd probably do, because I like revive.
Tell us about your most favorite settings.
Most favorite settings, okay. Start time of the day, I'll keep it at default daytime acceleration. Oh, come on. What's up? Am I an admin?
Are you?
Uh-huh, I am. It seems some commands are disabled. Anyway, okay. Doesn't matter. We will leave it on default. If you want to know my favorite settings, I'd say daytime acceleration to 24, so you can see, like, you can play at night and day without spending in Arma 24 hours. And I put it to 24, so in 1 hour I'd have the whole day cycle. Force progress, I'd leave it at default unless I want really quick play. Fast travel, all of that I'll keep at default. I'll probably turn off the music. It's nice to hear the music, but after 1 hour of playing Warlords, it can be a bit annoying. And announcer, definitely leave that on, because the announcers are awesome.
Fun fact, the Blue 4 announcer is actually the same actress who was introduced in the Laws of War DLC as the reporter. That's something people might not know.
So whilst everyone is joining in, we've done another giveaway. The winner this time is Resistance Rat. So congratulations. As I mentioned before, I will be contacting you after a stream, and then we'll sort everything out with the shipping and all that.
Wait.
So yeah, if you want to join Oukej here and playing Warlords right now, IP and password is in the chat. So just feel free to join up, and then we'll play some games.
Looks like the parameters are working
Yeah.
already. Good news.
You want the music or not? I can leave it on. And revive, enabled for all players. Revive duration, make it quick. None, so everyone can revive. Required trait, this will give medic, if medic is reviving, it will give him some boost, which is nice. If you're medic, you can revive faster, that makes sense. required items. In this case, I'd say no, because otherwise you can run up to your fallen comrade and suddenly you find you have no first aid kit, or you are not a medic with a medic kit. But it depends on how you want to play the mission. Basic, so you get incapacitated every time you get shot. In advanced, that accounts for how much you were shot, or what was it, like if there's an LGB, like a bomb dropped on your head. In advanced, you'll definitely be killed. Even when you're headshot, advanced will kill you. In basic, you'll get incapacitated. Readout duration, we can leave it on. Those are simple settings. If you want some more difficulty, you can make it harder. Okay. So how many players do we have so far? It's like 8 players. I'll join a sub 4 to balance things out. Space Iranians and his superior ballistic protection. Yeah, they're definitely space.
We have another question. Is Warlords strictly a multiplayer game mode, or can you play it solo, co-op?
Well, of course, you can play it in any settings you wish. Basically, it is set up as a multiplayer mode, but as I've already mentioned, you can play by yourself, only with AI. You can leave the enemy faction AI in place and play with your friends in your faction alone. Or you can even add AI to your faction and then have fun that way. You know, basically any settings of the slots that you leave open in the lobby, be it for another players or for AI, is accounted for, and all of these variations will work. So you can make the experience whatever you want it, basically. The only, I think, thing that you need to do is play it in multiplayer environment, not in single player, simply because of the respawn, you know. You can run it in single player, but then you won't be able to respawn, which is pretty hardcore, but I don't know, maybe it could work.
Yeah. Will you give away your tank as well during the stream? Maybe you can answer that. Okay. I don't dare talk about our tank because
Why are you asking us? Come here,
Because,
ask Edita.
the tank
She's
doesn't like me that much.
Well, just come and get it if you want. If you can take it away, I think you deserve it. You know?
Edita is friendly and nice, but depends on how you behave, how you treat her. Remember, it's a Soviet T-72 tank.
Yeah, true.
I hope we won't get a massive truck parked here next morning, claiming that I promised them that they can take the tank.
Anyway, if I do some mistakes in the chat or somewhere else, don't blame me. I have some Norwegian keyboard here.
Well, that's what I
Not
why
my
I wasn't
fault.
able to type. It was my butterfingers. Sorry, it's the damn keyboard.
Okay. So that'll do. I'll just straight ahead travel to a contested sector. Oh, nice. There's already a strategy. Let's capture the airbase. Get some planes. Good call.
Yeah. We have a lot of time, right? Aren't there like 3 or 4 tanks there? I think there are, yeah.
Yeah, just 3 sectors. Easy.
So there's another question regarding the response team module. Will this team spawn for every site or just the AAF?
Yeah, that's a good question. Only for the AAF, you know, because it's the business of Blue 4 and Op 4 to protect their sectors. So they can order vehicles or static defenses inside their own sectors, but since the AAF doesn't have that opportunity from the players to defend it, the response teams are used only for the AAF. But it also means that once a sector is taken by either faction, then the response teams, of course, can't spawn on it anymore for the AAF. So it never happens that an AAF tank spawns inside your own sector just because someone attacked its neighbor.
Okay. And then we have a couple of questions. Will there be headless client support?
That's also a good question. I'm not saying no, but any further updates to Warlords really depend on the reception, how many people will be playing it, how many servers will be populated, and if the player base is large enough, maybe we will be able to do some major updates for the mode in the future. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Cool. How's it going over there? Okay. Are you-
Who will be using Imperial system in Arma? Or what
The
is
Imperials, of course.
it? 250 feet? Yeah.
That's like 20 miles.
We are attacking the radio station here, and there's some enemy AF in this area. I had a sector scan before. That's something you can order from the purchase menu. And it will scan the sector for a few seconds. I don't know the exact count.
I think
and
it's 30.
Right now you can see that we are already capturing the base. Probably wiped out the air before I got there. So that was simple. And we'll move
One
on
thing
to-
I noticed during the 40v40 session, people were asking why the seizing of the sector is stopped when they hear a gunshot. Well, that's because
what
of a
happened now, right now.
simple reason that I don't believe you can be successfully seizing a sector if the enemy is mowing you down with a machine gun. You know, that's actually how our internal system of sensors or triggers works in the game, which I'm utilizing to determine the seizing times. So if an enemy fires their weapon inside this sector, then the trigger responsible for this check is has its timer reset basically. That's why you see these disappearing seizing bars. It can also happen that you wipe the initial garrison of the sector, but unfortunately a tank rolls in, be it from a response team or just some stray, which, you know, can reset the countdown as well, unfortunately.
That is exactly what's happening right now because we have a Strider with GMG. Oh, it's right here. And yep,
Okay.
that will cancel our capturing. Well, I'll try to disable it first. Let's see. Ow. No! Run away.
Plan B.
Right. I've got another question. Any thoughts of JRS in vanilla?
Mr. Oukej?
This is a common question whether we will implement a mod. Mods are for us. That was quick. For us, mods are a way you customize your game, and there are definitely mods that we'd consider having as vanilla, but it's not definitely feasible for us to do so. From technical point of view, testing everything. All right, some notes from our stream guys.
All right. Let's see here.
So, what are the other questions? Or I probably haven't answered that one, right?
Hey, you started very interestingly.
If you take a look, for example, we implemented FCS for tanks. That's something that the community was doing already before us. So many times that happened, right? Bipods, for example, sling loading. So those were features that were highly voted on our feedback tracker and were requested by majority of the community, and there wasn't so much disagreement about them. So everyone benefits from such feature. When it comes to some mods or other mods, it's not always the case. Sometimes it's a matter of personal preference. And in such cases, we prefer to leave the option to the player to pick the mod they like. And that's why we have mods and why Arma is so awesome, because you can
Yeah, I think
make it the way you like it.
the same can be asked about the medical system that is brought up a lot as well. So, you know, it would be nice to have this really in-depth medical system that some mods are utilizing, and quite frankly, they are very impressive. On the other hand, not all people want to really, I think, go that deep with healing your allies. Some, of course, do, and that's, of course, fine. But I think even if we have it, as an option, something optional, it then branches the amount of features that you need to take care of and make sure that they are working all the time. And the more options you give to players, the support you need to offer for it grows exponentially. Yeah, you know what I wanted to say.
Exponentially.
Yes.
Another question we have here is it possible to adjust the gear of spawned/bot AI in Warlords?
The gear of the spawned AI. Not currently, no. You can only use the units that are defined directly as class names in the config. I think you can use some advanced scripts to force your own loadout on them if you know how to do it. Then that's fine, but it's not supported natively, no.
Okay, I see.
What I should add, though, that there is an option for yourself to open the arsenal, which I don't think we've shown yet, which means that for a hefty sum of command points, you can have access to mostly all of the gear in the game, with the exception of uniforms and mortar backpacks, of course, and apply your own loadout in that way. But unfortunately, not for your subordinates. You would have to do some serious micromanagement with, I think, ammo crates and similar to achieve that effect. So technically, it's doable, just not in a very quick way.
Okay. Let's see here. Another question is it difficult to replace FAI with FIA? I will just change the IND config to FIA in init module, right? Question mark.
Yeah, that's technically what you need to do, is to change the independent faction config class name in the init module. I'm not sure that the class name that the FIA is correct, though. I can't be sure, but I think it's something int underscore f underscore g, maybe. But something similar. You would need to check the configs for that.
All right. Are you surviving over there? Okay.
Sort of. Trying to.
How many players do we have currently?
Let me check. Looks like 12 players. That's nice.
So I think whilst
I hope that's not ours.
It doesn't look like ours.
There are some CSAT soldiers. Yeah, it's ours. One of the great features of Arma. Check who you are firing at before you open fire.
You mean that Strider was stolen?
Yeah, that was a stolen Strider. If you look at it, you can see a clan tag on the side of it.
Well, you have good eyes. Or maybe it's the AI. They are taking over.
I mean, AI having a squad.
Yeah.
Like a public squad.
Improvise, adapt, overcome.
Arma 3 AI setting up a website with a squad. Or on Arma 3 Units website, setting up a squad.
Also,
I wonder why I wasn't invited.
Would have guessed. By the way, for anyone who's playing or who has been playing on the RC branch or will be playing on stable, any feedback you have, you can leave on our official forums in the section Arma 3 and official missions. There you will find a thread called Warlords. I think it's pinned, and any feedback you want to provide will be much appreciated.
Yeah. Homesick, until what time will you be playing? We're gonna play for another in between 5 and 10 minutes,
Okay.
and then we'll be ending the stream from there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And whilst Oukej here is playing, we're gonna do another giveaway. This time it's gonna be the last 2 hoodies. So it's basically the final giveaway of today. So the keyword is gonna be Arma 3 in one word. So just write Arma 3 in chat, and then you're automatically in the giveaway. And we'll pick the winners in 5 minutes or so.
At this point, we're capturing the military range, which is our last sector before going on to the airbase. So I don't have too many. I should have set up the mission for a faster increase of command points, because I only have 500, and that's not enough to buy something interesting. Can just buy some simple vehicle. Yeah, we've captured a sector now.
You can buy a quad bike.
Yeah, that's a very good attack vehicle. I wouldn't question that, but
That's the attack vehicle for the real man, you know. By the way, how is Blue 4 doing?
let's see. They have the same amount of sectors as we do,
I think
and
they
they
have
are
the
now
same idea to
they're
attack the...
attacking air station Mike 26. So if we
Are
both
they?
succeed, we may even see some.
No, they are
dog
attacking the
fights.
airbase as well.
Are they? Ah,
Yes.
okay. So right. So we'll meet.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Something similar happened in the 40v40 near the airport, right? When Blue 4 and Op 4 clashed. And then it was an hour-long, horrible, Helm's Deep kind of slaughter.
Now I have too many, too heavy loadout. Probably remove some missiles here. Does that help? No.
By the way, anyone who hasn't watched any streams or YouTube videos from that event, if you feel like it, watch it. There are some very interesting moments with various vehicles used in various skill levels.
Yes, I think Flash Ranger created like a highlight reel of the 40v40 event last week. So you can definitely check that out. It is in the current sitrep, or a sitrep that was released today. You can find it, or you can find it on YouTube. So yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. In like 2 minutes, we'll do the giveaway, or like finish the giveaway. So then we'll have the final winners of today. And after that, we will be ending the stream. So if you have any questions about anything, I think now's the best time to ask. Because yeah, we have about 5 to 10 minutes left of the stream. So if you have any questions, fire away.
In the meantime, you know, as it's really a matter of hours before the Warlords get released in stable, it's interesting to see that during the last couple of weeks that we've said that we will be releasing the mod officially. The workshop page of it has blown up a bit. You know, quite a lot of people started downloading it from there. But let me just emphasize that the version that is there is about 2 years old, and a lot of improvements have been done in basically every phase of the mode, including, you know, most definitely the user interface, but also AI subroutines, performance improvements, all of it. So I think I will be shutting it down in the foreseeable future, maybe with some warning, you know, when you try to use the workshop version of the mod, just so there is no confusion between the official and workshop versions of the mode played at the same time, for instance.
A question from the chat is when will Warlords release tomorrow in GMT or CET? Is there any defined time?
Is there?
Yeah, there's afternoon GMT, but as always, it's like 90-95%.
All right.
So set your alarms, afternoon GMT.
It can always happen that there's some last-second blocker that prevents us from releasing the patch. So we're always a bit careful about telling exact things. But in this case, it definitely makes sense because communities have their sessions planned, and the patch update, it's something that can change their plans a bit, or quite a lot. So yeah, it should be afternoon. Current plan is roughly 2 p.m., but it may change. Expect the window to be just afternoon.
Yeah, so tomorrow afternoon, sometime. Another question here is regarding the ADR 97. Is it being added as it is, or has there been any changes?
There were some changes. There was quite some polish from our art guys to bring it up to the speed with other weapons in vanilla game, and there were some small config changes to. Oh, I'm getting fired at by something heavier. Changes to how the weapon behaves. And now your question killed me.
Yeah, sure.
There's some APC coming down. That's your reinforcements. So you were talking about them. Your fault, Choze, and your fault, whoever asked the question. Yeah, there were some updates. It looks definitely better, and it should behave better. It shouldn't be as OP, as to say, as it was before.
Okay.
Oh, don't die from the flame.
Kava asks if he should bring fuel for the tank tomorrow when he comes to pick it up.
Well, you'll need more than fuel.
You'll need a skill to drive it, and strength. It's a Soviet tank. It's not easy to drive it.
All right. We're going to finish the giveaway here now. So the next winner of the giveaway is Rima Papa Bear. Congratulations. You've won a hoodie. So, as I mentioned, I'm just going to mention it again. I will contact you either later tonight or tomorrow to sort out the shipping and all that stuff. So congratulations, Papa Bear. And then the next winner is OP_clips. So congratulations to you as well, sir. And other than that, do you guys have anything you'd like to say before we end?
Yeah, congratulations indeed, because even I don't have those hoodies. No, but seriously, I'd like to again thank everyone who has been involved in providing feedback for Warlords, playing it, testing it out, even on the workshop those years ago. Really, all those subscribers there helped a lot with me being able to release it under vanilla, because the feedback was very, very good. And the ideas for the mode, some of them made it in there, and they definitely helped making it what it is today, and hopefully we'll be able to work on it even further, and maybe some of the features requested will make it there as well. So thank you.
And okay, do you have anything?
Let's just see what's going on the airport, and I think we can kind of slowly cut it and let the players play.
I don't know what's going on, but tracers are going off. Hey.
Yeah, there's some big tracers. Yeah. Are there any people asking why I was playing in third person? Not so controversial.
No, just silently judging you.
Probably.
Let me get my squad in.
Let's kill this beast. I can do. You can switch from top attack to direct attack. Let's use the top one. It's better.
Is he gonna hit?
No, I got killed.
Now I'm silently judging you. Take cover
It dropped
after you
smokes.
fire the rocket, man.
Avoided the missile and fired back.
All right. So the Warlords update, or the 1.86 version of Arma 3, is gonna release tomorrow. So hopefully all of you are gonna enjoy that update. And thank you so much for tuning into the stream. Yeah, have a good night.
Thanks a lot for watching and
Bye-bye.
thanks for all the questions.